Hi everyone. For today, I'm actually going to go over 20 questions, and this is coming from a website called Chess Personality. I'm going to go over each question, and at the end of the 20 question quiz, it's going to actually match up and compare my questions to the personality and style of a famous chess grandmaster or world champion. So, number one, which side would you rather play in the following position? Black to move. In this position, I actually prefer white because white just has a pretty dominant position. All of his pieces are active. Black's position is pretty bad in terms of the threat of white threatening to win the bishop. This king is pinned, so that's a big issue. So I would definitely pick white here. When you play in tournaments, do you usually score with consistent results, or do you often perform on the extremes, either really well or really poorly? From my own personal experience, ever since when I started playing the game in a real tournament, I've always had pretty consistent results. So I'll go with this. Number two, which best describes how you think about this position in the Schwarzkopf Sicilian? Well, let's see. Black has given up a critically important square on d5, or Black has lots of potential counterplay with the bishop pair and the f5 break, pawn break. So I believe that's the idea, the structure in terms of the Schwarzkopf Sicilian. You get plenty of potential counterplay with your bishop pair and some breaks with f5, so that's how I see it. Which statement closer to the truth? I bring my best game when facing opponents I dislike, or I don't really notice my opponent. So that would be B for sure. Whenever I don't really pay attention to whoever I'm up against, I tend to do much better. I'm going based on that. I bring my best game when facing opponents I don't like. That I'm not sure about that. I don't believe that's true for me, my case. So this one definitely for sure beat. Let's see, number 5. Black has just played g5. Your first instinct is to take on g5 or retreat to g3. So I'm gonna always go to g3 because that's in terms of classical play, this is the best way to play. Knight takes on g5, bishop takes on g5. That's for people who like to play fake chess, play blitz, bullet, not real chess. But in a real chess game, your bishop g3 is by far the best move out of those two choices. Do you play gambits? So in a real live tournament game, actually, I do. I do play gambits. I play multiple gambits. There's a King's Gambit, which I've played before. Queen's Gambit, another one. There's multiple ones that crop up. Even on the black side, you could play the Banco Gambit. You play there's a few other. I think it's called the. Yeah, there's a few gambits. I just don't remember most of them off of my head, but I do play this. How would you think about whether or not to take on g5? So I will evaluate the placement of the pieces to decide if the attack seems promising. Next one, I would calculate several variations to decide if white's attack is strong enough. So in the actual real game, you're actually applying both. I would assume you're applying both ways of doing things. You would have to evaluate the placement of your pieces to decide if your attack is promising, and also you have to calculate variations to decide if your attack is strong enough. But given one choice to pick from, I would go with calculating several variations to decide if white's attack is strong enough. I think that's the most prudent way to play. Under serious time pressure, you are more likely to miss a tactic or move pieces aimlessly. Now, for my situation, I will most often miss a tactic, But for those who move pieces aimlessly, those are players who are actually beginners or who just are inexperienced or who don't have as much knowledge of the game. So I would miss a tactic for sure. Number 9, which of these ideas do you prefer for white? So let's see, it says white should trade bishops and put the strong knight on d4, which will prevent any counterplay from black doubling their rooks on the c file. So trying to deny their battery on the c file control. Or you should push d4, temporarily misplacing the dark square bishop and start the attack on the king side with f5. So I think in a actual game, in the serious tournament, d4 is the best move, I believe. It doesn't make any sense to play bishop takes c5, allowing more activity from black on the queen side. You play d4, you shut down and clamp down on black's chances to fight back, and then you pursue the kingside attack with f5. So B is probably the best way to approach the game. Number 10, you start the game out with d4. Would you rather your opponent play d5 or f5? So out of these two choices, the best move is d5. So f5 is actually not a very good way to play. There is an opening for this Dutch defense, but it's not really sound in a real long game. This opening can be exploited and taken advantage of. If you're playing and using this in the blitzkrieg rapid game, you can do that, because your opponent won't have enough time to take advantage and punish you for making a bad move. But yeah, in a long game, I would rather my opponent play f5. You have been ahead a pawn for most of the game, but after tough resistance from your opponent, you have only 5 minutes left in the position. Should you play on or offer your opponent a draw? So, I'm up a pawn. I'm always gonna play for a win. I'm gonna keep on pushing for a win. Yeah, and it's not a good idea to take a draw. You want to push, and play for a win. Especially when you're up a pawn, there's no risk involved in losing in this situation with a pawn, king, and knight ending position. So I will keep pushing for a win. Now, number 12, which statement comes closest to your feelings? So it's always a joy to be paired with someone you've crushed in the past, or the odds of winning are slightly higher against opponents one has previously beaten. So for me, it's always going to be B, because I don't really take in the pleasure of being paired up with someone who I've won against in the past, because usually what happens is that player that have lost to me badly will end up preparing and be more prepared in preparation for how I play, or prepare something that I've played before to try and improve. And it's going to be a little bit harder the second time around. So my point of view is that odds of winning are slightly higher against opponents one has previously beaten. So 13, with plenty of time on your clock, what would you do in this position? Take on e6 and play rook d7? Because the end game is good for white, or redirect the knight to c3 to preserve the better minor piece. So or invest in some serious time calculating whether knight takes e6 achieves anything concrete. So in this situation, this move doesn't seem to make any sense. In this position, structurally speaking, the knight is more superior than this bishop. So you eliminate that. I mean, it doesn't create any concrete advantages. So it has to be, So it has to be A, because I will avoid the trade and redirect my knight to c3. So maintain my better minor piece against that bad bishop. 14. What do you think of the famous saying, chess is 99% tactics? Do you agree or disagree? Well, I disagree, because in chess, there's a combination of strategy, positional chess, tactics, end games, openings, middle game strategy, So it's not just completely 99% tactics. 15. How do you feel about this wild gambit line for black? So in a real game, in a long game, this is a terrible idea. It basically black is gonna lose a game. There's no way out of it. If this was a blitz game, yes, or bullet game for sure, I'll consider playing it, but not in a real game. After losing a game, have you ever broken something or yelled out loud? Okay, so in a real game, that never happens for me. If I lose a game, I have never broken anything before or yelled out loud. So no, but even when I'm playing Blitz or Bullet online, I don't do any of that. That's very unprofessional and kind of rude at the same time. White to playing castle. So I rather castle, king side, or queen side. In a real game, castle and king side is the best way to play. If this was a blitz game, bullet, rapid, queen side castling is probably preferred because they're trying to strike and attack. But king side castling is definitely the best move. Which is closer to the truth? I get excited or nervous before a game. Or don't worry about prizes, money, titles, or honors while playing. I just play my game. So for this situation, it's B. I don't really care too much about winning prizes or money or titles. I just play my game and stay focused and stay sharp on what I'm trying to do. How would you come up with a plan in this position as white? Consider the strengths and weaknesses of black's position to decide where my pieces feel best, or you calculate some lines for white to see how strong various possibilities are. So both aspects do. Every chess player playing in a real game, they have to utilize and apply those two ideas in play to make a choice of in terms of coming up with a plan. But in this situation, I would probably calculate some lines for white to see if they're strong various possibilities. And 20, which is harder for you to do? Identify my advantages in building a plan or trade a good position for a strong attack. So in terms of trading a good position for a strong attack, that's probably the toughest one for me, because if I get a good position on a chessboard, it's very difficult to trade that for a strong attack. I mean, it's just tough to do. But in terms of identifying advantages in building a plan, I find from my own personal experiences, it's relatively easy, and find no issues with that. But for this one, I have there's some issues that it's give or take. So I have to go B. So let's see who I am. Okay, interesting. So here I am a natural according to this website. I am similar to Vishwanathan Anand. So naturals are rare, well-rounded players who seek a healthy initiative, remain in control of their emotions, and follow the intuition rather than constantly looking for exceptions to the rules of chess. And natural seeks healthy openings and healthy positions. They don't usually win by trickery, but once they obtain an advantage, they are all about unstoppable. Naturals place a high value on remaining calm and rarely get into time pressure or uncontrollable situations. Okay, this is very interesting. I'm not too sure if I'm my chess personality and style is similar to Vishwanathan Anand, but according to this website, I am. Okay, you guys have a good day. Like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Bye for now.